Hello everybody and welcome to the Quilters Apothecary. Today we are doing another quick flash tube. Um, I know a lot of you are really loving this series of the flash tubes, and I gotta tell you, a lot of things come up in the studio and it's like, boy, I really need to share this for people that are new or even some of the seasoned people that don't know things like this. So let's take a second and talk a little bit about rulers and using stuff for the back of the ruler so that it doesn't stick. Now, of course, we've already discussed, and there are tutorials up that I have posted on YouTube, as well as I believe we have some of the live Patreons where I talk a lot about this. But the three products I like to use is the Handy Grip, and I find that to remove this, it's not that hard. If I do remove it, I'll just kind of use my nail or something like that, or a little prier of some sort, and it usually will pull right up. And then I can just use a little bit of the goof off to get rid of any sticky that's left behind. And that's any of these types of products that you use for sticking on the back of rulers so that they don't slip. One of the other products that I use a lot for the backs of my rulers so they don't slip is this Ruler Magic, which is a little less invasive. You put this on, it's like glue, wipe it on, let it dry. It goes on a little opaque, but then it dries clear. And this doesn't last as long on the back of the ruler to keep it a little tacky, but it's good for short term, or if you are traveling and you want to stick something in your suitcase that can actually be traveled with if you're going on a plane. This comes off with warm to hot water off the back of the ruler, and I don't have a lot of trouble with this. I think only once did I ever have to use the goof off to take that off, but most of the time it comes off, and it was because it was a weird ruler with some texture on the back. Most of the time it comes off with warm or more hot soapy water. The other product, which is my absolute favorite, of course, and you all know this if you've been hanging out with me for any period of time, is the 620 adhesive, which I absolutely love. I use this for applique on the back of fabric, spray on the back of fabric. If you spray one of the surfaces, like with applique, I can pop it down and change positions to kind of audition things. And then when I figure it out, if I spray a little bit on the fabric where it's really going to live, and then on the back of the applique and put it down, it's permanent. And then I can put it on and then do my needle and tacking it down permanently. Or if I'm using the long arm to do the applique, I can do that, and this stuff works great. But of course, the other thing that I love to use my 620 adhesive for is for the back of my rulers when I don't want slippage. This is my absolute favorite. A lot of you have said, well, I've tried like the 505 and the 404s, and I don't love those for that. I agree. I'm not a fan of using those. This is my absolute favorite because when I spritz a little bit of this on the back of my ruler, and again, remember, I am only using a light side spray. Usually it's in a garbage can. If you or you have any animals in your studio, I definitely step outside and do it outside. Side spray, little residue, and then you're good. If you have asthma, this is not a product I would be using. Definitely not inside. Now, I do have a friend that uses it. She just steps outside of her studio and she does it that way. Remember, when you do the side spray, you want to have something there to catch the side spray or be off on some gravel or something like that. You definitely don't want this going on like something like clothing, hands, or anything, because it is sticky. Now, the wonderful thing about this is whatever you spray it on, after about 30 seconds of this, it's still sticky, sticky, sticky and tacky, but when you put it on something, it doesn't transfer. So it stays on the ruler. And that, again, love, love, love this stuff, but I get lazy and I keep spraying my rulers over and over. After a few weeks, I'll spray it again just to get it re-tacky. And usually by the time I get to the ruler, for example, this guy, you can kind of see how opaque it is, has been sprayed probably about 20 or 30 times. It's been about 6 months to a year. Usually at about the 6 months to a year shot, and I'm coming up on in-studio classes, so it's going to be time for me to clean my rulers so the students don't realize how lazy I really am about cleaning my rulers. So I'm going to show you how I actually do clean the rulers when I'm using any of these type of adhesives, especially our 620, because I know a lot of you have purchased this from shows, even though we can't ship it through the mail. I know a lot of you still have it. Or if you're using any of the 505 or 404 type products. So I'm going to take you down to the table and we're going to see exactly how I clean the back of my rulers. Okay, so again, we are talking about any of the adhesives like the 620 adhesive, if you've gotten that from us, which I love, or the 505s, 404s, or any of those others that you may be using on the backs of rulers. The product that I use to get that off is Goof Off. I prefer this. This is my absolute favorite. There is another one called Goo Gone, which is good as well, but I preferred this one even over that one. But that's a close second if that's the only thing you have access to. Those are the two products that I think are the best. You want to be real careful about anything stronger because I actually have used a few of the different products and they actually will kind of melt the acrylic a little bit and kind of wear away at your etchings on the back of your ruler. So again, definitely I'm a goof off guy or a Goo Gone as a close second. The other thing is this, when you're using this, go ahead if you have gloves, you have the latex or whatever type of gloves you want to wear. You can wear gloves. I don't, I do this all the time without gloves, but I would suggest go ahead, use gloves if you don't want the nasty on your fingers, and I can just wash them away with some Dawn dishwashing liquid. So the other thing that I like to use is I like the Scotch-Brite. They are the non-scratch sponge scrubbies, and these are something that you would use like on Teflon. It has a little bit of the scratchy surface here to help get things off, but it will not scratch the acrylic. So I do like to use this. The other thing I like to have would be some sort of glass cleaner, and that's for afterwards. The other thing that I will do sometimes when we had our studio at the house is I would use Dawn dishwashing liquid. I'd have a sink filled with a little bit of Dawn warm water after I did this, and then I would just go ahead and use that and rinse it and put it in my strainer. If you are obviously in your home studio, which most of you are, you could go ahead and do that, but I'm not. I'm at my studio here at the shop, and so I don't have access other than in the basement in our dyeing studio, and I don't want to carry all the rulers down there. So I found that using the glass cleaner, just to kind of do a final sweep over it, works really well. And of course, some paper towel or some pieces of muslin are real handy. You definitely want to have some paper towel handy. So, okay, get some of this out of the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open up my goof off, and I'm going to put some, you don't need a lot, just a little bit, right on the back of the ruler. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just wipe it around. I'm going to use my fingers. You would have gloves on, and what that's going to do is that's going to start to get rid of, you can kind of see how it's starting to take off any of that residue. A little bit more. Now, I normally have like a dish pan that I'm doing this in, but for filming right now, I'm just simply have a piece of poster board down, and I'm just going to wipe that right on there. I don't want to start using the sponge scrubby yet, very simply because I just want to get that saturated right on there. Let me put just a little bit more on there. There we go. I'm going to let that set. Now I'm going to do this one. I'm going to peel off my little bit of red tape. Now I will say this. When you finish, when you are done with this, if you use a rag, if you use paper towel, This goes right out in your garbage can. You do not leave this in your home. Remember, this is a chemical product. It is flammable. That means that you could have spontaneous combustion. I remember a neighbor of ours used something similar and left the rags next to gas cans in his garage, and boom, took out half the house. And so again, anything that you use with this type of chemical, any cloths or rags or paper towel, or even this poster board is going with me, and it's going right outside in a garbage can. Okay, you can see, like I said, this is not just I spritzed it once. This is, I've been spritzing this thing with the 620 for probably about a half of a year. Okay, so now you can see how that's taking that off. It comes off pretty simple and pretty smoothly. Again, I'm going to hit that again, go over that. I'm going to use my scratchy, get any of the extra residue right off of there, and it's not going to scratch my acrylic rulers. Do this. Paper towel, wipe it away. So now I have all of the adhesive off of this ruler. Now again, if I were at home, I would just go ahead and I would have a sink filled with Dawn dishwashing liquid. I would put these in. That's a degreaser. It would get rid of any of this, any of the weird stuff. But other than that, I'll just use some sort of window cleaning product. Go right on there. And by the time I'm done here, this is going to be like new. And then I can start all over layering with my, my 620. So that is exactly how I would be cleaning the backs of my rulers. And there is nothing like a nice clean ruler to start fresh with. So I hope that you have enjoyed that quick tutorial on how to clean any of the adhesives off the back of your ruler. So as usual, we will see you down the road. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.